So hi everybody. First off, I'd like to say thank you very much for the invite. I think what Siri is doing for our state is incredibly valuable. And it's very important to understand that in the US, this happens all the time. And entrepreneurship in the US is pretty much a business. And people do it all the time. And they're very successful. And when they're not successful, that's okay, because they'll reinvest and they'll reinvest and reinvest. And what's really interesting is I was having a chat. I gave a talk at Stanford. And I was having a chat. And some of the guys I was talking to had 3 or 4 bankruptcies under the belt, and they actually see that as a sign of experience. Whereas in Australia, that's not. So it gives you an idea of the types of, the culture that you're dealing with. So why am I sitting here today? So a bit about my background. I'm actually dyslexic, so I can't read. So I couldn't read a book until I was 12. I actually had my mum, who's a teacher, actually make me learn my essay for my year 12. So we're talking about education earlier, right? So I got 50% for English, which is an absolute amazing score for me. And that was enough to get into university, big tick. I also got 100% for maths. I also won I won some of the awards for economics, etc., which is really interesting considering I couldn't write very well. So I've got degrees in maths and chemistry, software engineering. I've got a master's degree in complex systems theory from Cambridge. So I have spent a bit of time at university. I was offered a PhD at Stanford, and I actually declined to actually go and get a real job. So I've worked in industry, so I've worked in mining, I've worked in finance, I've worked in strategy, all sorts of different things. I've also worked for Shell in the scenario planning team in London, so quite an eclectic taste of things. I actually sold my first company to Microsoft when I was 19. So, and I learned a lot. Dealing with venture capital people, not very good if you're young. So do it with your eyes are wide open. So one of the things I'm really stoked about with Siri is it's equipping you guys with skills. Okay. At the end of the day, what I would encourage you to understand is it's your personal journey, and everybody's journey will be different. Okay. There will be ups and there will be some downs, and believe me, the downs are pretty horrific. But if you're strong and you're resilient and you believe in what you're doing and you're passionate about it, then you can be incredibly successful.
So what are you passionate about, Matt? What's driving you?
So for me, I'm a great believer. We live on a planet with finite resources. What we do have is infinite ideas. So the human creativity is the saviour of our planet. So my challenge, and the one that I'm chasing, is how do we take the creativity that we have across everybody and then being able to apply that in an industrial context. So how can we do more with, say, energy? How can we do more with mining and minerals, etc.? And how can we really unlock sustainability for the society instead of smart cities? And so I think across the board, a lot of people were talking about, we spoke around energy, and we spoke around urban form and smart cities, etc. So we live in a connected world. So how do we now empower that connected world to actually make the best decision? And that's the ultimate challenge that we're chasing. It's the one that we've been chasing now in Optica for over 12 years, and we have a product that we believe solved that problem. So we're very excited about it.
I'm interested in how your personal challenge influenced your choices, and you're still aiming for the stars, I can tell, and you obviously haven't let that stop your dreams, I guess.
No, you have to dream. If you're going to do this, dream big, right? Don't dream small, because you're going to commit everything to it, and every day, every minute when you wake up, you're going to be thinking about this. So unless it's going to change, there's going to be something profound to you, okay? Don't do it, because there's lots of people who are going to tell you it can't be done. So I've lost count of how many doors I've had slammed in my face. In fact, I now consider that to be a badge of honour, because it's like, for the first, when you get to like the 1000th person who says this can't be done, and you sit there just going, well, actually, I think we can. We just haven't found the way forward. You have to understand that it's easier for people to say no than it is for people to say yes, okay? People will not say yes, all right? If you're going to do something profound, because you're challenging the status quo, you're challenging their beliefs, you're challenging what people think. If you're going to do that, then that's how you create transformational change. And that's exciting, and that's what should really empower you, because that's what you get up for in the morning. And it could be a simple, so I have a son who has a hearing issue, so we do a lot of work with him. So I'm very passionate about how we can make his life better. I also have a son who's a hardcore gymnast, and so we do a lot of work with him and how we can improve that for him. So that's within my family. I also have an extremely supportive wife who's just starting her own business. So she's actually starting an entrepreneurial journey right now. And it's been really interesting watching, because she's actually going through the same learning curve that I've gone. It's just that hopefully she can do it a lot faster than what I could do. And the thing which you find with Siri is you're actually being exposed to the acceleration of a lot of use cases and a lot of experience. These guys have a huge amount of experience that you actually learn from. So you can actually make some new mistakes, okay? And own them, okay? I don't consider mistakes. I just think that see them as learning opportunities. And it's about how do you learn quickly. And I keep a reflective journey. And for me, if I don't feel uncomfortable every single day, then I'm not pushing it hard enough, okay? So if you are on that edge constantly, being challenged, challenging yourself, challenging your team, and challenging what you're doing, you're not trying hard enough, and you're wasting your time. Because at the end of the day, the most precious commodity you have is actually your personal time, and how you use that time to create value for yourself, for your family, and for society.
So another question just about that fear that you've brought up. How do you manage that? How do you, when you're standing there, filled with fear, take action and keep moving?
So I started out doing it very badly. So I'd actually ignore hard decisions, or I'd run away from it, right? And one of the things you'll learn very quickly in business, that if you're burning money and hemorrhaging cash really quickly, and I was doing that, the hardest thing to realise is that you have to make some hard decisions, and you need to do it very quickly. And so I waited 4 days to make a decision, and that cost me about $300,000, okay? So if I'd moved more quickly, and what's interesting is my mind, by lunchtime on about the Monday or the Tuesday, I knew I'd sack a whole pile of people, make some really hard decisions. They weren't bad, they were just hard. But I waited, and it was doubt. Are there other options? Am I making the right decision? Oh my God, what people are going to think of me? How am I going to tell my wife? Oh my God, this is so hard. All that sort of stuff, right? And you know what? That's reality. So I do a lot of work. So I learned from that lesson, and I now do a lot of work with being mindfulness. So mindfulness is all about being centered, and it's actually about being self-aware and actually managing anxiety, because this is hard, right? And I actually went and saw a psychologist, okay? Don't be scared about seeing a psych. They're really amazing people and extremely helpful in actually teaching you how to actually manage your emotions. Now, some people are really good at managing emotions, in which case great. Some people are really passionate and they find it very difficult. But there's lots of techniques out there, and just take them on board, and it helps a lot.
Matt, thanks very much for a really inspiring talk. Enjoyed it a lot. You talked about the importance of having the right executive team around you, people that challenge you, having internal and external mentors. You only referred to your board once, and being a very recent graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors, I'm very, I guess, educated and trained in the value of having good corporate governance, having that oversight with different competencies from a non-executive board can add real value to a successful execution of the business in terms of managing risk, setting the risk appetite, helping develop the strategy. Could you tell me how you think a good board can benefit an entrepreneurial company?
It's a really good question. So our board is currently comprised of 2 people, and that's myself and my father. And we did that very deliberately. So my dad used to be one of the professors for around governance and risk. So we decided very early on that we were doing a high-risk tech play. Our risk was their ability to develop the technology as fast and as cheaply as possible. So we made an executive decision when we did our risk profiling that we were going to go light on our board, and that was done very specifically for what we needed. Where we are today is we're now moving towards recruiting a board, and we're now putting in the governance. So one of the interesting things that we're having to deal with is actually now pivoting a business and a culture to one that's now having to have board meetings. And so we've just done our 3rd board meeting last week, and it's very entertaining. So we're having to our team's having to learn how to put a board together, etc. So ultimately, our vision will be to form out a board and the way we go. Boards play an incredibly important role as you drive a business forward because they give you network, they give you critical thought, and they also give you accountability. So one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur is you have to be intrinsically self-motivated. Okay, boards are great because they ask really, really hard questions. And I've presented to boards for large entities, and the questions that they ask are really difficult to answer sometimes. And you've got to understand that it's their job to hold you accountable. Now, if you bring on investment money, you've got to understand that it's no longer your money, it's the company's money, and you need to be held to account. And the board gives you that confidence and asks those really critical thoughts. And the other thing is they're not in the business, they work on the business. They have a completely different mindset, and they ask you really weird questions that you have no understanding of why, and it's really powerful. So I think boards are really good, and you've got to be very careful in how you set your board up, and that's very important as well.
Thanks, Matt Schneider, for a really, really interesting presentation. I'm just going to ask you to leave the group with a comment or a word of advice to, potentially at least half a dozen budding entrepreneurs who are thinking, holy shit, is this for me? Can I build an airplane on the way down? What would you say?
I would say the following. Number 1, be passionate. If you truly believe in what you're going to go and do, then do it. Another thing is, the hardest thing you can do is to actually take that first step. And that may well be, you might be in a really good job, getting paid a lot of money, right? And you're doing it as a part-time thing, so you might be here on like annual leave or whatever. Cut the safety ropes, because you will never, ever achieve your dream if you don't. And the Vikings used to do it brilliantly. Whenever they do a raid, they used to burn the boats at the beaches. They had no choice.
No escape.
So do that, right? And that is how you are successful, because you can't look back. Because the easiest thing to do is to go back where you were, because that's safe, right? And you'll feel comfortable, okay? This is not about feeling comfortable. This is about embracing change. This is about embracing being scared, right? Step forward, cut the ropes, get on with it. And you know what? If you fail, you failed. Congratulations. That's a great outcome. Pick yourself up and then choose something else and keep going.
Yep. Embrace failure. That's it for me. Nice work. That was awesome. Thank you so much.